I'm going to talk about why most women actually like men that they can see other women want. And this is something that you may have seen talked about before on the internet, but I'm actually going to share a story with you, and I have plenty of them. But I'm going to share one story with you today that proves that women really do like men more when they can see that other women want that person. So, going to the story, I'm going to talk about this one time I dated a girl named, we're going to call her Charlene. I dated this girl named Charlene, and we dated for about anywhere between 6 months to a year. And we broke up right before I was going to college. So I was 18 at the time, and it was the summer of me getting ready to go to college. So Charlene hits me up one day after we're broken up, and she says, "Hey, what are you doing? I'm in your area, and I wanted to see if you just want to come hang out with me and my cousin. We're in your area." I said, "Sure." I wasn't doing anything. Plus, we didn't have any bad blood when we both broke up. I just decided to move on from that relationship, and I went to meet up with her and her cousin in a nearby neighborhood. Once I got there, I realized that her cousin was an attractive chick that I heard of before, but never really had any time to actually meet her. So her cousin, let's say her name was Ashley. So I met Ashley, and I'm looking like, dang, what's up with Ashley though? Forget the ex. And you've been through that before. You met one girl, and you're with that girl. You meet their friend or their cousin, and their cousin or friend is way more attractive. That's what I felt like at the time. Both girls were actually very pretty, but I was looking at Ashley because she was newer. So I'm like, man, I want to get to know her. Anyway, we keep hanging out for that day, and we're just having a good time. Charlene and Ashley, they're both feeling me, I could tell. So I knew that was reassurance that my ex still kind of liked me, kind of wanted to be around me a little bit more. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, all right, well, I got to leave. I got to go back to doing whatever I got to do. And so Ashley, the cousin, she looks at me and says, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Me and my cousin Charlene are going to be hanging out again, and you could just come hang out with us." I said I'm 18 at the time. I did have a part-time job, but I didn't really have anything to do the next day. So I was like, yeah, sure, why not hang out with two good-looking girls, one that likes me and one that I like, or whatever. Anyway, so I said, yeah, I'll come hang out with you. So the next day comes, I go over to Ashley's house, and her and Charlene are there, and Ashley's mother's actually there. And I introduced myself to Ashley's mother. Ashley's mother was very cool. She's like, "Hey, I'm going to work," or she was going wherever she was going. And she left us there. At this time, Ashley was older than me. Ashley was about maybe 19, 20, while I was 18. We started clicking even more. Like we started sharing ideas about what our favorite music was. And at this time, I was very talented. I was a dancer as far as like pop locking, Chris Brown, stuff like that. Dancing like B2K, all that stuff. So that was one of my talents that actually gave me a little bit of status around that time. So she kind of saw some of my talent. We were messing around in the house, dancing and stuff like that. I mean, Charlene could see that Ashley was starting to kind of like me too. And Charlene didn't want that because the only reason she was messing with me, because we had already dated, the only reason she was messing with me was because, she wanted to, see what opportunities were left there for me and her. And I was just doing it because I was like, I am just killing time. I ain't got nothing else to do. I might as well hang around two good looking females. And so the day ends, and I go back home. The next day, Ashley, the cousin of my ex, she hits me up on text and like, "Hey, what's going on?" I say, "Wait a minute. How'd you get my phone number?" And she says, "Yo, I got it out of my cousin's phone." I'm like, "All right. Well, what's good with you?" And then she's like, "You want to come over again today?" I said, "Sure." I said, when is Charlene there right now too? Like Charlene with you?" She's like, "Nah, she's not gonna be here today." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I was like, "Well, yeah, I guess I can come over." I'm just like, I'm thinking, what's the harm in that? Charlene introduced me to you, and we're all cool. I mean, I know Charlene kind of want to get back with me, but I never promised her anything. So anyway, Charlene hits me up later and realizes that I'm going over there. She's like, why are you going over?" I said, "Oh, she just asked me if I wanted to hang out." And Charlene's upset. And I'm like, yo, that's my cousin. What is she doing? I'm like, I don't know what's the harm in it. Me and Ashley go hang out, and we hitting it off even more. We building our relationship. We getting close and things like that. We're getting becoming a little bit more intimate, and this started to become more of a thing where Ashley will invite me over, see if I want to hang out, and Charlene to get a little bit upset, and like now it started creating tension between these two girls because Charlene's like, "Hey, you weren't supposed to take this guy. I introduced him to you to show you that he was cool and all, but he's technically mine." And she's trying to play innocent. Ashley's playing innocent, like, "Oh, I'm just hanging out with him. He's a cool guy." But me and Ashley were definitely getting more and more intimate over time, and Charlene didn't really know the details of it all, but yeah, me and Ashley knew what was up. So eventually, what happens is Charlene and Ashley end up just start falling out more and more, where they're not even communicating, and now it's to a point where Ashley's just inviting me over, and we're hanging out regular now, like it's a normal thing. Like it's almost like it wasn't really a boyfriend or nothing. We weren't talking about anything like that because she knew that I was going to college like once the summer was over, and she was just gonna stay where she was at. And I'm gonna end this story right here just to say that all of this came from me talking to one beautiful girl, and then being around that beautiful girl allowed me the opportunity to be introduced to other beautiful women. And this is actually not the only case where somebody in Charlene's circle actually was interested in me. There actually were other times as well where someone that Charlene knew, once I broke up with Charlene, because Charlene was a pretty girl, so she had other pretty friends and family. Once I broke up with Charlene, there was another woman that was in her circle, another girl that was in her circle that came back and was like, "Hey, well, I'm kind of interested in you now." And then that eventually led to something too, where we developed that further and took that to a level where we got a little bit of physical action going on as well. And all of these women were considered attractive by anyone in our community at this time. And they look at any of these girls, they think that all these girls were attractive women. But definitely use that to your advantage. You get out here in these social circles and you hang out. Don't be afraid to hang out with the woman around her friends or family members, and whether you think it's right or not, it's up to you to decide. Either way, I'm just saying, if you want more opportunities to network and meet more beautiful women, the best way is through the one woman that's interested in you. Hanging out with her more in her social circles will definitely provide you with more leads in order to deal with other beautiful women in the future.